if you look at Germany, it's a little bit of the transit country from east to west, from north to south. So it is a logistics location, yes. But the question is where to build something, and do you really have the network with all this, the logistics operators to really be, let's say, competitive in this market? It is a growth area. We see all the cars on the streets. If you go down the German Autobahn, there's one lane only for trucks, and then you have one or two for cars at the end. Maybe in 2 or 3 years' time, you have 2 lanes for trucks and only one for cars left. But the problem is, where do you have the ground for logistics, and do you really have? It doesn't make sense to buy 1 or 2 logistics properties. You need to have a network, and you have the connections to the operators to really be competitive in this market. So I see potential, but it's very hard to get in from my point of view.
Okay.
I love the fact that you link everything to cars. You've got to be German to link everything to cars. Don't drive when you're 80. It's the Autobahn. It's logistics. We love our cars. But you're right. I mean, you're absolutely. But I do think logistics has a story. So again, where do you invest? What are you going to look at on the logistics side? And you know, the demand, obviously, of the Amazons, the Zalando, whatever they're called. The brothers doing their work. I think it has a story, and I think if you see growth of 7 increasing, doubling, you need to put that stock somewhere, and you need to transit, and you need to send it around, and it has to be transported. There's more packages flying around, you know, being shuffled around Germany than ever before. So you need to accommodate for that, and they need to be close to city centers. Now, there's different kinds of movements in the logistic markets. You've got your big hubs like Amazon or like Zalando, but you also have, if you want to supply goods on a daily basis, you know, you need to be close to cities as well. So that there's growth scenarios there, which I think are going to be quite interesting to follow, and we will continue to invest and grow our investments in logistics because the yields are still very acceptable. The building permit side is relatively constrained, and monitored very closely. There's still things to be done and improvements to be made on the way that these logistics terms work, but there's also a danger in that, that, you know, 1 or 2 locations may fall out because the structures of how you service your clients may change. You know, having said everything, you know, the good old, because we were with retail, omni-channeling, etc. How do you deliver to the shop, pick it up there, combine the shopping? That will change, but logistics is going to be an eminent and growing importance in that market to supply that, delivering home and not using the car, essentially.
And in terms of the product that is, let's say, is going to be moving closer into towns, which presumably isn't necessarily there at the moment for same-day delivery. If permits are quite tight in terms of that, does that mean then people should be looking at light industrial, let's say, that can be repositioned? How would you see that?
That's a potential. I mean, it hasn't started to that extent. It's something that needs to occur, because if you want to service on a daily within, 12 hours delivery periods, how are you going to do that? Especially fresh foods, you know, all that kind of things. You need to have centers where you can deliver relatively close to the cities. It could be a chance that the light industrial things that simply aren't leasing, aren't really performing. But then again, the size that you need, you know, it doesn't quite fit. You need to restructure those buildings fully and totally. You know. It's just a trend. I think it hasn't delivered that, and I think the sizes of them wouldn't be our profile, because they're going to be relatively small, but more of them. And then you need to see, again, traffic, etc. You know, you can't really put logistics smack in the middle of town. It somehow doesn't really work that well. But it's just one of those challenges for logistics, and the growth is going to be there, and then there's going to be you know, new trends in that market. But I think it's a good growth area. And you look at the rental growth, and you look at the demand, and you look at the yield expectations. It's been a good investment if you're moving in that at the moment.